What's up, Jets fans? It's Christian from the Jets Report, and today I'm going to be coming at you guys with a little two-part video about two pieces of news that broke yesterday. One being that the Jets made a trade with the Vikings to send Chris Herndon to Minnesota, and the other was the final roster cuts. But before we get into that, I want to let you know you can follow me on Twitter at Jets_CP. I love interacting with the fans, and I love seeing your guys' takes. And Jets Nation is such a special fan base to be a part of. So if you want to give me a follow at Jets_CP, it'll really mean a lot. And let's get into the video. To start off, let's talk about Chris Herndon. Looking back at Chris Herndon's short Jet career, it started off in 2018 coming out of the same draft class with Sam Darnold. And man, he had a really promising rookie year, especially towards the end of the year in games like against Green Bay in his rookie season. He really showed so much promise. I remember thinking, man, this Sam Darnold-Chris Herndon connection is going to be special. And now we fast forward to 2021, and they're both not on the team getting traded in the same offseason. But, you know, Chris Herndon had a super promising end to his rookie year. He was looking like the tight end one. I know a lot of people were really hopeful that he'd be one of the better tight ends in the NFL one day. And then in 2019, he had injuries and this DUI suspension, and he only played one game. So, you know, everyone was like, okay, you know, he had an off season. Things that are a little out of his control, tough break. So people were looking forward to the 2020 season under Adam Gase, and he ended up having a very bad season. He had less than 300 yards. Adam Gase does not use tight ends. Chris Herndon developed kind of a drop problem. He didn't look confident. At some points, he would disappear on the field, and he just didn't look like he didn't look like he had any juice from his rookie year. So a lot of Jets fans were disappointed. I know some people were still hopeful that he can maybe break out this year under a new system and kind of be like a post-Gase breakout. You know, guys like Ryan Tannehill had that. But, you know, I kind of hopped off the Chris Herndon train this offseason. I never really thought he had what it took. I always thought he didn't have the right, like, he just looked lost on the field sometimes, kind of would disappear. And when we brought in Tyler Croft, he seemed like a solid option on what Mike LaFleur was trying to do with different tight end motions, especially in week 2 of the preseason. So, you know, I was like, all right, I'm not a big fan of Chris Herndon. I'm okay if he gets cut. And then Joe Douglas makes a great trade, another steal from Joe Douglas, where he sends one of our many sixth-round picks and Chris Herndon to Minnesota for a fourth. I mean, the fact that we got a fourth in return for Chris Herndon is something special. I mean, Joe Douglas really works his magic. So I'm very happy about this move. I mean, obviously, we lose that sixth-round pick, but we had a bunch of sixth-round picks. And getting that fourth just gives us so much more value. And now we have, I think it's 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 1 third, and 2 fourths in this upcoming NFL draft. So, I mean, we're absolutely loaded with picks, and we also have a lot of cap space. So next offseason should be super fun. And, you know, Joe Douglas is just working his magic. So I really do like this trade. The Jets got great return. The only question is, we only have 2 tight ends on the roster, and one of them is Trayvon Wesco. So that's not really a good look. We got to add someone because we also cut Kenny Yeboah, which sucks. I'll talk about later in the video. But this leaves a big question mark at tight end. So we should look for guys like Zach Ertz, Jacob Hollister, guys like that. You know, maybe bring Kenny Yeboah back in the practice squad if he clears waivers and giving him a roster spot. But we have a lot to work on with the tight end room with the week 1 right around the corner. But, you know, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below about this Chris Herndon trade. What do you think? I know a lot of Jets fans are happy. Not a lot of guys are on the Chris Herndon trade anymore. But now let's move on and talk about the roster cuts. So to talk about this new 53-man roster, I'm going to break it down and go position by position and start off with quarterback on offense. I have all the names written down in a notebook, so bear with me. We have quarterback, we have Zach Wilson and Mike White both making the roster. So obviously Zach Wilson was a lock, but then you have Mike White, who was kind of battling for that quarterback 2 spot. And, you know, he showed promise in the preseason. I know the Jets really like him as an organization. They think he moves the ball well. They think he's a solid option. They didn't bring Josh Johnson or James Morgan back on the roster. Talk about James Morgan not making the roster might be a little bit of a surprise. I know a lot of Jets fans didn't like the pick, including me last year when they took him in the 4th round. And, you know, a lot of people were saying that could be an Adam Gase pick. Joe Douglas might not have too many ties to him. And Joe Douglas proved that, you know, he didn't love James Morgan, so he cut him. Obviously, James Morgan could be a good candidate for the practice squad if he clears waivers. There's a chance he doesn't clear waivers, though, because he was a 4th-round pick just last year, and a team might want to take a flyer on him. And then we also have Josh Johnson getting cut. He played very well in preseason week 3. Good veteran, journeyman quarterback. A lot of Jets fans wanted him on the team. I wouldn't have minded him. I like the veteran presence idea. But they decided to go with Mike White, a younger option who they can maybe groom into being a good backup quarterback for years to come. Now moving on to running back, this is another controversial position. There was obviously locks being Michael Carter, Tevin Coleman, and Ty Johnson. All those guys are definitely going to make the team. They all offer good different skill sets, and they're very valuable in their own right. But then the big decision was Josh Adams or LaMichael Pirine. And the Jets ended up going with like Michael Pirine. I could definitely see why. Pirine's kind of like the guy who's not great at one thing, but is solid at everything. Pretty good power back guy. And Josh Adams, he played really well in preseason week 3. I feel like last season, whenever he got the ball, he was like always a big play waiting to happen, always fell forward, always got chunk yardage. I know a lot of Jets fans wanted him, but as an undrafted free agent, and Joe Douglas didn't really have too many ties to him, I'm not really too surprised he got cut. I would have liked him on the roster, and I would have thought it made sense to keep him over Pirine. But if he clears waivers, I don't think he will. I think Josh Adams will find a home with someone. I think if he clears waivers, he's definitely on the practice squad, but I don't think he will. I think he finds a home with a new team who's willing to give him a shot as a running back. Moving on over receivers, we had a bunch of locks: Jameson Crowder, Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Keelan Cole, Elijah Moore. Those were no-brainers. And then we kept 2 other receivers, being Braxton Berrios and Jeff Smith. So obviously we cut guys like Cager and Vincent Smith. I thought Vincent Smith would maybe make it over Jeff Smith, but I know the Jets really like I really like Jeff Smith's speed and his ability to run out of the backfield and do a bunch of things with him. So it makes a lot of sense to keep him. I know Mike LaFleur and Robert Saleh had that with like Deebo Samuel in San Francisco. So it makes sense to keep a guy like Jeff Smith. And Braxton Berrios has always been solid, good slot receiver. I mean, he's a fan favorite, great guy, but I was kind of expecting him to keep and stay on the roster. Moving on to tight end, like I said before, we only have 2 rostered tight ends, Tyler Croft and Trayvon Wesco. But Trayvon Wesco is probably going to be more of a fullback, maybe a blocking tight end, but I'm really interested to see how the Jets use him in a fullback role. And obviously Tyler Croft has a pretty good connection with Zach Wilson, judging by that preseason week 2 game. So Tyler Croft's going to be the tight end 1. But then you have a big question mark. Where's your depth at tight end? You cut Daniel Brown, Kenny Yeboah, don't have Chris Herndon anymore. So the Jets are going to have to go make a move. They're going to have to sign someone who gets cut or make a trade for a guy like Zach Ertz. I'm really interested to see what they do with that position. Tight end's an important position for a rookie quarterback, as it's like a safety blanket. And Zach Wilson needs some tight end depth, so I'm really looking forward to see what the Jets do at that position. And finally, to round out the offense, we have the offensive line. The offensive line for the starters was pretty much a lock. Everyone was kind of expecting it. It's going to be Becton, AVT, McGovern, Greg Van Roten, and Morgan Moses. And then the depth we have is George Fant, who's obviously that swing tackle guy. Everyone knew he was going to be there. And then we have Adoga, Dan Feedy, and Connor McDermott rounding out the depth. And obviously Dan Feeney had a very rough preseason. I find it a little questionable how he made the roster. I mean, I love his mullet, but I was kind of thinking he was going to get cut and maybe they give another guy a chance. But they went with Dan Feeney, and hopefully he bounces back, because he did have time with the Chargers, so he has some experience, but man, he looked pretty lost in preseason. So hopefully he bounces back, because we need all the depth we can in offensive line, rotating guys, injuries happen. So that's a very important spot. To move on to the defense, let's start with the defensive line. We have Quinnen Williams, Jonathan Franklin-Myers, Foley Fatukasi, Sheldon Rankins, Bryce Huff, Shaq Lawson, Nathan Shepard, Jabari Zuniga, and Jonathan Marshall. So obviously a very deep group, but a lot of those guys are locks. But moving down towards the bottom of the depth chart, super happy they kept Nathan Shepard. I've always liked him. I always think he's been solid, and I know some people are saying he might get cut, but they kept him. Great, I love Nathan Shepard. Then Jabari Zuniga, obviously very disappointing rookie season. Joe Douglas took him in a 3rd-round pick last year. I didn't love the pick when it happened, but attacking the edge, position of need. He did not play well. He barely showed up his rookie season. I think Joe Douglas is giving him another chance. Obviously, it's his draft pick. He doesn't want to cut ties too soon with a lot of them. And moving down to Jonathan Marshall, absolutely love Jonathan Marshall. He's so athletic, tested so well at the combine. I think he has so much potential, and he played really well in the preseason. So, I'm super excited to see what he has in the future as a Jet. Moving on to the linebacking core, we have C.J. Mosley, Gerard Davis, Damian Sherwood, Hamza Nasruddin, and Blake Cashman. So obviously, this is a pretty intriguing group. It's not the best group, but C.J. Mosley is a great guy. Everyone loves him. Played so well that first game of his career as a Jet, then got hurt and opted out. But I think he has so much potential, and he makes a defense. He's just such a good leader, such a good veteran presence, has so much skill and talent. I'm super excited to see how he leads the defense and mans the middle. And then obviously we have two intriguing rookies that I made a video on in the past, Hamza Nasruddin and Jamie Sherwood. Especially with the Jabari Davis injury, these two guys are going to get a lot of playing time early on. Expect them to make rookie mistakes, but I think they have so much promise and they have so much talent that I think they could be really solid for the future. Moving on to safety, we have Marcus May, LaMarcus Joyner, and Ashton Davis. This is a very standard group. Everyone was expecting this. Bennett Jackson did play pretty well in the preseason, but, they went with the three standard guys. Obviously, Marcus May has been a great Jet, great guy. I mean, there has been some contract disputes, but, he's always been solid. Loved the way he stepped up last year as a leader. Then we brought in LaMarcus Joyner over the offseason to be a veteran guy. Moving back to his original position at safety, I think he has a lot of potential and maybe can return to some form of that Rams LaMarcus Joyner. And then you have Ashton Davis, who was drafted last year. He was banged up a little bit last year, but, super athletic, super fast, can play a bunch of different positions. Really intriguing guy that Joe Douglas took last year. Then we move on to the cornerback position. Very intriguing position. This causes a lot of debate, very young. Expect mistakes in this group as well. But we have Bless Austin, Bryce Hall, Michael Carter, Javelin Guidry, Justin Hardy, Brandon Eccles, Jason Pinnock, and Isaiah Dunn. So obviously super young group, a bunch of rookies. We have 4 rookies in this group. And then we have Bryce Hall as a second-year guy, Bless Austin as a third-year guy, Javelin Guidry is very young. And obviously Justin Hardy is more of a special teamer. He might play some corner, but, he's going to be more of a special teams guy, kind of like a gunner. So expect a lot of mistakes out of this group. I mean, Bryce Hall is our cornerback one. It's a little scary. He's good, but we don't have any veteran presence in this room. So you got to expect some mistakes. This could get ugly, but these guys have to grow together and, really, really form a connection because we're going to need some of these guys to step up big. And to finish off the video, we have special teams. We have Braden Mann, a punter. Obviously, we took him in the draft last year. Played pretty solid his rookie season. Had a good preseason. And obviously, he had that famous tackle against the Rams that led us to get the second overall pick. And then we have Amendola, our kicker. I mean, he's been balling all preseason. If he does this in the regular season, we got a steal. I mean, we might have finally solved our kicker problem. Obviously, preseason is a different animal, but, he did all the right things in preseason. I'm hoping he really shows that in the regular season as well. And Thomas Hennessy, a long snapper, another lock. He's going to be that guy a lot. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on this roster. There also are some questionable cuts, but, I really like this roster. Obviously, we're very young. But, I think we have a lot to prove, and I think this roster could surprise a lot of people. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and as always, go Jets.